You know what, guys? I'm kinda done with being sad about this. Let's go into a deep dive as to why Jonathan Dahlen was traded. Before we start things off, though, everybody, check out Maroki, Brett's video about the Dahlen trade and how he's disappointed. Not angry, but disappointed. And he talks about Dahlen and the situation, and he brings up some good quotes. We're going to be exploring some similar kind of quotes here. If you search up Dahlen on Twitter, you get yourself a lot of interesting tweets from trusted people around the NHL media. So that's what we're going to do here. Let's not talk about Linus Karlsson. Let's make a scouting report or whatever on him later. This is just about Dahlen and why we traded him. Basically, I already got this comment a lot in my other video yesterday, but Dahlen requested a trade. He wasn't feeling like he was getting the right minutes and the playing time, and he wasn't getting those opportunities to succeed, and he wanted those opportunities elsewhere. Let's go through a few quotes here on Twitter to showcase just exactly the point that we're trying to illustrate here. Jim Benning on Jonathan Dahlen from TSN Radio Vancouver. I find sometimes young players now, sometimes they don't want to pay their dues in development time. They just want an NHL opportunity off the start. We just felt there was development left before that. And I guess that's where the discrepancy was. Then go over to Sportsnet 650, Benning also says, young players don't want to pay their dues. We felt Dahlen wasn't there yet. That's basically the same thing, but it's written in two different ways. That was actually said during the press conference. It's on the YouTube video for the Canucks after the trade deadline. Benning doesn't necessarily have the most kind comments to say about Dahlen in this one. And he talks about it and he paints Dahlen in a light that says Dahlen was eager to get in there, but the Canucks just weren't willing to give him that shot. Let's go over to Wills on Sports here on this other tweet. Dahlen's agent on the trade says that there was frustration with the way he was being developed, but they wanted to see more from him. It goes both ways. Dahlen is fine with this. And so this is kind of interesting too, because we kind of know Dahlen has been pretty good in Utica. He was just over half a point a game. As a rookie, coming in, things were looking fine. His skating wasn't where it needed to be, but overall, Dahlen came in here and he showed everybody his skill set. It's just that it wasn't really enough. Let's look at Jason Braffon here. This Dahlen story is really confounding to me. On the one hand, I feel like a 20-year-old kid shouldn't be whining to his agent after less than a year in the AHL. On the other, the organization talked this kid up a lot and now he's gone. What the hell happened? The first reply here says, I guess a bad attitude and bad skating did him in. Some other people are talking about how he was just really impatient. But recently, there was something that came out on Twitter even more. This is from Trent Cull himself, the man who runs the Comets. Trent Cull said this about Dahlen wanting to play in the NHL. It's not something we talked a lot about. I thought we were trying to put him in situations to succeed. For me, I think it takes time. I thought Dahlen was developing not unlike Zach McEwen. Obviously, Dahlen wants to play in the NHL, but he wasn't coming in telling me that he should be going up, which kind of paints a different picture. This kind of says that Dahlen was okay with being with the Utica Comets, and overall, if we're getting the agent coming out here saying, yeah, he wanted a trade, if Benning is coming out here saying, yeah, he said he wanted a trade, the agent told me, then overall, there's some distrust going on here, and there's a really weird series of events that is not documented and is not being told as the truth out here. But it's kind of funny to me, really. Dahlen wants to play in the NHL. That's apparently the claim that we're trying to put out here. He's frustrated with being sent down in Utica. He's not getting those opportunities. He wants to be in the NHL, and he wants to do it soon. So what do the Vancouver Canucks do after hearing this from a guy who wants to get traded because he's not playing in the NHL? They trade him to the team with arguably the best forward core in the NHL. If the chance of Dahlen cracking the NHL with the Vancouver Canucks on their forward core was 50 out of 100, then the chances of him cracking the San Jose Sharks forward core takes the odds down a considerable amount, because let's face it, the Sharks are way deeper than the Canucks on forwards. And Dahlen was like, yeah, I wanted to play in the NHL. According to this story, that's the narrative that we're trying to bring up here. If Dahlen wanted to play in the NHL, I think it's clear to me that he had a better shot here doing that than with the Sharks. If the Sharks are willing to do this and they're like, hey, a nice young prospect, let's take him, it's going to take them a few years to develop him into an NHL forward that beats out any of the forwards they already have. It's kind of funny to me, really. And there are so many tweets out here, so many different angles that we could look at, that this is just such a convoluted story. And overall, I don't think we're ever going to really learn the full story in detail. But that's the narrative. Jim Benning says that they wanted a trade. Trent Cull says that apparently it was fine. So there's so much more to uncover, but really I don't know if we're ever going to find that out. But Dahlen is traded, and that's kind of why. Hope you guys enjoyed this British Plus Gaming, and bye.